Honourable Jan Barham.
This weekend, a protest meeting will be held on the beach at Byron Bay as community members gather before walking along the beach to Belongil, to the site of the proposed rock wall that has been approved for construction by Byron Shire Council. The decision by the Council turns its back on 30 years of sustainable coastal management that recognises the dynamic nature of the coast and the erosion risks associated with the storm history of the region. There is background to the precautionary planning approach known as planned retreat that comes from the history of storms along the coast to the Byron to Hastings coastline for over a century. Belongil Beach was subdivided into 200 lots, each with 33-foot frontages by the state government in 1986. In 1988, a 320-foot-long jetty was opened at Byron Bay. In 1906, the council was enacted. In 1928, a new jetty, 2,002 feet long, was built due to the decay of the old jetty. In 1930, the first jetty was declared unsafe. In 1933 to 36, severe and extensive beach erosion pounded the coast. In 1948, 6 boats tied at the first jetty were wrecked in a storm. In 1949, the Public Works Department removed the first jetty. In 1952, 15 of 17 boats tied at the second jetty were destroyed. In 1954, the second jetty was severely damaged and 26 fishing boats wrecked. Cyclones affected the coast from Byron Bay to Hastings Point embankment in March 1956, January 59, February 63, twice in May 63, January 65, January, February and March 1967, February 71, February 72, February 73, February and March 74, January, February and March 1976. In 1972, the second jetty was completely removed. In 1978, the Public Works Department report Byron Bay to Hastings Point erosion study was completed. In 1979, the Coastal Protection Act and Environmental Planning Act were gazetted. In 1984, Belongil Esplanade Road on Belongil Beach was lost due to severe erosion. Part of the reason I'm doing this because of the misinformation that's often put forward by people and, amazingly, believed by gullible MPs. In 1986, consultation, there was a rock wall built by the state government that has been proven to have no impact on the Belongil Beach erosion area. In 1986, consultations on the draft Byron Shire Local Environment Plan and Development Control Plan were undertaken. In 1988, the state government approved the LEP, which included zones that referred to coastal lands and urban coastal lands and restricted the development of structures in those areas. And in the immediate impact zone required that the new buildings or works must be temporary and must be removed in the event of coastal erosion. Precinct 2, at the 50 and 100-year line, identified that development within that precinct could only be granted subject to the proviso that the erosion, if the erosion escarpment came within 50 metres, any building development would lapse. In 1990, the New South Wales Government adopted the Coastline Management Manual and identified planned retreat as an option. In 1996, extensive coastal erosion from an east coast low. In 1997, the government adopted the coastal policy. In 1999, extensive erosion from storms and a large swell event. In 2001, extensive erosion from an east coast low. In 2009, in May, extensive erosion from an east coast low and following swell of spring tides. The history of this area, prior to any building of rock walls at Main Beach, identified that this was an area of dynamic coastal activity and that there had been extreme erosion. The shame is limited evidence is given by some who have an interest in protecting private property. That is not the role of the state to protect private property when caveat emptor was put in place to advise those people. The Crown land is the key issue. A rolling easement or a retreat process that ensures that that part of the coastline maintains the beach should be our greatest priority, and the community is calling for that to be the case.